Hello YouTube, and welcome back to the 964 challenge, where we're trying to figure out how to turn this guy into an absolute track beast. Very, very lightweight, a target weight of 964 kilos, and an absolute power plant of an engine. So, last time around we were looking at the rear trailing arms, figuring that out, the center lock system, the nice spring plates from DRS, really getting that under control. This time around, it's time for the seating position and figuring out where the ECU is going to be in the cabin and some of the other furniture that I need to be able to control this dedicated little friend of mine here. So let's have a look at that. And we're going to start over here. Concept that I'm thinking here is that we start with the pedal box, figuring out the final position of that, then figure out the final position. I'm going to have a fixed position on my seat, no sliders, nothing. And then after that, we can figure out exactly how long the steering column is going to be and exactly where it's going to be. Some things are fixed, like this is fixed, can't do so much about that. And other things like the bars of the roll cage and so on, they're fixed as well, right? So I'll have to work a little bit in between the conditions there. As you might notice, it looks a little bit different on the inside here, and that's because I've actually painted the inside. I did promise myself after the first time I painted the car in the garage to never do it again. I also promised myself after the second time I painted the car in the garage to never do it again. I'm not going to promise that to myself because I know I'm going to paint the car again in the garage, and it seems like I'm getting a little bit better at it. It's actually quite fun. Okay, pedal box it is. So for those of you that watched one of the previous episodes, you saw that I was designing one of these transfer plates from the original 964 mounting points that sits in here up to something like this, which I did, and I'm quite happy with it. What I haven't done is made a final assembly of it in there. So I've actually done up two versions of this, because where the holes for the original mounting points, where those are, it's actually quite tricky to get this to jive. So I've only found two options that this works. It's this option, where the pedal box sits about 30-40 millimeters further ahead or further towards the front of the vehicle, and it's the other version, which is the one I did in my last episode, where the pedal box sits exactly where the original does. So I've opted for the version where it sits a little bit more forward now. So we're going to put it in there and bolt it in place and see if we get any kind of stiffness out of this. And voila, the pedal box is in there, supported now by 5 different screws. And I will need to drive the car to feel if this is really sufficient. I guess I might have to do something, because I feel that when I push here hard, I can see that it moves just a little bit. So I might need to put just another bolt, maybe through this one here. Down through the floor to give just a little bit more support. I don't know about that yet, but I will figure out in due time. We need to make sure this also then connects to the rest of the world, to the front where the ABS is. And in the same episode as we looked at the pedal box, we designed this little piece. This is made out of aluminum. I have another one here. I made a few of them. So this piece here, this is a transfer manifold block here. And what it does is that it sits just up there. I'll show you in a second exactly where it sits. But it sits essentially at this angle. So the 2 master cylinders from the pedal box, they go up here. They transfer the pressure to the front where the ABS sits. And on this side here, you have a pressure sensor for the front circuit. You have a brake light switch. And then you have a pressure circuit for the rear circuit. And then this then continues on to the ABS. So it's a neat little manifold block made out of billet here, little design detail. So I'm going to put this one in there so that we can see how this looks. Looking up in the front, we see something like this. So this is just really a transfer piece. The two hoses I have here, they're not correct right now. They're supposed to be a different length and they're supposed to go in there. Okay, so we got it installed and this is how it looks. So you see we have two nice little lines there, no real slack on them, no tension in them either. This kind of concludes the pedal box. Now with that position fixed, it's time to move on to the seat and see how we wiggle our way into a really comfy position. And just 1 second before we get on with the seat, and that is the things that go behind the seat, namely the brain of the engine, the ECU, the Motec M150. There's a few different concepts here. One concept is kind of a showpiece concept where I put it up there. Then you can kind of see it from the rear window and it looks really cool. What that means is that the harness needs to come up this way and then out that way. So it's kind of, this whole stretch here is just complete waste. If I put it down here, like it was on the Cup cars, then the highway of the harness highway coming up here will just stop off there for a little pit stop, and then it will continue up here in for that hole. And I have enough components to showpiece in this car anyway, so I'm just going to put the ECU here. And you know what, I don't have any more M4 screws, so I can't see if I got the other holes in the right position. I think I did. So I'll order in a few more of those. I'll probably put rubber washers on both sides of them, put maybe a little bit of Loctite on the thread so that it doesn't move and I don't have to tighten it too hard. Then this one is just a little bit resiliently mounted, which is good, right? Seat. And when it comes to seat, I have found something really delicious here. It is the Tillett B6 Screamer, which is really just a shell with nothing in it, perfect for a track car. The way that I'm racing is I have one of these fully hybrid harnesses, so that my helmet is actually tied into my shoulders, that is tied into the harness. If I didn't use that, I would use one of these seats with, you know, big pads and big ears coming out this way. I like the hybrid harnesses, they're really nice, and I did crash with it once, and I'm extremely happy I had it, because otherwise I would have maybe not been as mobile now as I still am. So the Tillett seats, it's really nice, just a shell like that. I have designed up, based on the measurements that I took on the inside, I have designed up and printed out a first set of brackets here. So I like doing things in billet. So they're going to be made out of a single block here. Something like this. I haven't got it completely done yet, but this is the first mock-up. So let's get this into the car and see how it looks. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Okay, here goes nothing. Let's see. Pedals reasonably good. They could actually be even further forward, but that doesn't work. Steering wheel. Yeah, but wow, I'm sitting way too low. I need to get up like this much something. This doesn't work at all. I need to get back to the drawing board and figure out a new set of seats that pump me up a bit. So what I see is I need to actually go back quite a bit to get a reasonable distance between the pedals and the seat. I took a measurement between the pedals and the seat here, and I compared it with my best reference, which is my sim racing rig, where I have the ability to adjust everything and get to kind of a perfect position. So I need to go back quite a lot. And looking here in the back, I have about this much space left before I go into the cage there. So let's move it back a little bit. I can also see that height-wise, I think I need to come up something like this for this to work. And I have a few different methods. I'm going to pump up the seat mounts, of course. I'm also maybe going to concede and put a cushion in the seat so that I boost myself up a little bit with just a little bit of comfort, which is also good for safety, right? Another thing with the 964 that you can put a little bit of thought into is how the things line up, right? So we're looking, the seat is centered. When I look through the seat, I see the steering column and I see the pedals. But actually, my line here is, as you can see, this line is very diagonal. So I'm going to see if I can also, as I do this, fix a little bit of this issue with the 964 and move the seat a little bit this way so that I get much more of a straight line with this. So we got a few different problems. We need to move the seat back, we need to move the seat up, we need to move the seat sideways. This one takes care of a little bit of this, so we can see that the seat is moved back quite a bit. It's also moved up quite a bit. You will also notice that it's very, very narrow. And there's a reason for all of these ideas here. Before I show you what the reason for these ideas are, we're gonna just put this one onto the seat. And the one I am tightening up right now is the one that goes towards the middle of the car. So this one going towards the middle of the car is on purpose very narrow. And here is the logic. We make this one very narrow, so we have two of them. They're the same, they're just mirrored to each other. And we want to shift the seat purposely on the driver's side a little bit towards the center of the car. Then we put these, so this is going to be an aluminum piece. It's not going to look exactly like this. It's going to have two holes in it. One hole is through, and the other hole is actually to bolt it to the lower hole so that this becomes an integral piece of this, right? So this one sits there, shifting then the seat a little bit closer towards the center of the vehicle for the driver's seat. For the passenger seat, you can just move over and have different washers that are a little bit narrower so that you get exactly in the middle. But for the drivers, you would like to do it like this, right? So now we then have a seat that is offset a little bit. It is quite a lot higher and it is quite a lot further back. Let's take this one into the car and see if I can actually see something. So I'm further back. I can actually see the road, which is pretty cool, isn't it? I will have quite a distance until I see the road. So this idea with putting a little bit of a booster, a little bit of a cushion in the seat, this will just make it a lot better. Yeah, I think I'm onto something here. Let's do another little test. I think this is it. It might take a little bit of getting used to having this position because I'm actually quite a lot lower in the car now than what you are in a traditional 964. But I've also built things here that allows me to do that. For example, this steering column, I can lower it towards me, which you can't do with the original one. Okay, now next step, we need to somehow figure out how we get this one connected to the steering shaft, right? I found a really nice product from a Swedish company called Snap-Off, where you have a piece like this, which this one you weld on to your steering shaft, right? And then this one locks up with this guy here, right? Looks neat. And as you have this together, you can then get a completely clearance-free connection there. And what also this one has, which I really liked a lot, is it has an electric connector. It's not attached now, but it has, so that I can put the buttons I have in the steering wheel and the little telephone cord that you have on the outside, it can actually be on this side rather than on this side, so I can bring the steering wheel with me as a means of anti-theft protection if the car is ever outside, right? I like that. So we need to get this little weld end into the steering shaft. And the steering shaft has been pre-drilled here by yours truly. There's several ways of assembling this. The recommended way to assemble to this one is to drill 2 holes like this, and then weld as soon as this one is in there. You would be very inclined to just weld a seam all the way around, but apparently that is not as good of a method as this is. And apparently it cracks. That's the reason. So I'm going to put this in the freezer, and I'm going to give this a little bit of heat, put these together, and then we see how long this shaft needs to be. And while we're waiting for the weld end to cool down, they're getting this perfect temperature, shrinking a bit, we need to figure out some of the controls here, right? So I have this rotary switch from Motec that is going to go in here somewhere in the middle. I have a jaw sensor for the ABS that is supposed to be somewhere at the center of the vehicle. So it needs to go reasonably somewhere here, right? I have a tire pressure monitoring system that can go anywhere in the car. Then I have a few other things. What I'm going to focus on in the very first instance here is really this guy here and where this one needs to be. So now that I have my final driver's position here, let's sit in the chair and see where this one needs to be for me to be able to use it, right? Okay, so what this one will do essentially is this is start-stop of the engine. This is turning the vehicle on. I have one button that I don't know what I'm going to use for yet, and it's to control the display, and I'll have the traction control strength. I control the suspension with this one. I haven't shown you my suspension yet, but it will be controlled by this. So it's not critical for me to reach it while I'm driving, right? None of the critical functions are there, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to have it like down like there. One idea I had was to just punch a hole through here so that it's completely flush, but it feels like a pity when I just painted this surface, huh? It's a little bit low if I do that as well. So I would like to get it up a little bit, like this. I printed some geometries here. I don't know which one I'm going to use. Not this one, because it doesn't look very good. This is a good little attempt here. So this one will host the little rotary switch there, like a little helicopter platform. And it has a spot for the jaw sensor just there. So it's like, looks like a little yacht or something here with a bridge and something there. And if I put that here, it will look just like that. It's still very rough around the edges, but what I've accomplished is this slight elevation. It's being pushed forward. It also covers up the holes that I have here. I get a little platform to mount this one on. So I don't think it's too bad. Of course, when I print things like this, the colors, always disregard those. It's just a means of, you know, accentuating the thing I'm doing. Okay, so take 2. What have I changed? Well, I fixed up the line here so that I have a perfect following of the shape from the rotary controller here. I put in a circular connector here so that I could connect the harness to it in a nice way. I put it on the wrong side though. which should be here, of course. Because the main branch is going to come from up there, and it's going to branch up, go into this one, as it continues over into the ECU. So I need to change the side of that one. I put a little channel here, so that as I put the ABS jaw sensor there that feels how the car is moving, then this one, the cable can actually come out from under, attach nicely there so you don't see it. And then you can just bolt this onto, nicely like that. I also put a little bit of a diagnostic port here. So to program the PDM, I'm going to sit over there. I'm going to have the laptop in my lap, and I can just hook it up here. And I can also program the ABS from this port. That's the idea, at least. So, very neat, very nice. Okay, here goes nothing. It's been in the freezer now for maybe 10 minutes, something. I'm going to heat this one up properly. If it gets stuck, I'm toast. I could feel just the first millimeter. This is never going to work. I'll take off a little bit of this one and I'll try it all over again. Take two. First time it got stuck, just the first little tiny bits, I pulled it out and I restarted it. Second time, it also got stuck halfway. So I ran into my workshop press and I pushed it in. It seems to have gone really well. I'm not concerned about it at all. Still needs to be welded, right? But this now is a perfect piece to put into the car and see if the steering wheel is somewhat in the right place. Let's have a look. Wow, this is exciting. Don't you think? Okay. This is the first time I sit in my car with actually controls to it. So this is pretty cool. First impression is it needs to go down a little bit. So let's pull it down a bit. Okay, so yeah, this actually feels pretty well balanced. As you can see, I'm quite a lot lower with the steering wheel than what is in the original 964 setup, because the original 964 setup sits up here, these two bolts that I don't use. So, I think this is it. Okay, so we're getting really close now. I got my steering, got my controls, got the gear lever, got all those cool stuff. I don't have a control panel yet. I have a few things that I need to control, and I don't have the rear view mirror. So let's have a look at the control panel first. The idea is I want to be able to reach something while I'm strapped in, so I'm pretty much confined to things that are about in this range over here. Up here, not such a good idea. It's gonna go over there, right? That's the only reasonable choice. So I have a little concept here. And the concept I came up with is really simple. It's just a box, just like this. This one doesn't look very good, but it's enough to explain the concept. And it is, I just put a box on it like that. And this is at a level and a range where I can reach it. It's a little bit inclined like that, so it kind of leans towards me. And just like any good cooking show, I have already prepared. So what this is, it doesn't look very good yet, but I will get there eventually. So what I have here, I have my master switch, just there. I have my canbus controls here. Don't mind the stickers, I'm going to move these around so I get the right setup there. I have my ABS strength, and you can see I made small little dials there so you can see what's up and what's down. And then I have the brake balance. Finish of the box is not particularly good yet. I might ask someone that knows how to make these things really nice, make it nice for me. But as a concept, yeah, it's not bad. And look at this, we're getting somewhere. We have the controls up here. We got the controls down there. We got the steering wheel. We got the pedal box. We have the seat mounts. And the super-sized granny mirror, together with some neat little things that I just did up here. To mount the harness, one crucial thing is that if you have a side collision, you want to make sure that if the seat kind of breaks over towards one side, that the belts don't follow. Actually, you want the belts to support you. So I just printed some rings here that I put around the bar there. These are made of carbon infused PTG, which is extremely hard. And this just makes a nice little aesthetic look here, and also keeps me safe, which is very important. And just when I was about to close off this episode, I did speak to Frederick from Aximec, and he told me that, you know what, the billet seat mounts that I designed, they're just about done. So I waited a little bit until they came in so that I could show you these. They are just here, and look at this. We did a few changes from the original design, added some speed pockets there, just to give it a little bit design distinction. They ended up at just below 1 kilo for 2 of them. I have the spacer washers there that are preliminary right now. It's going to be a little bit of a different concept there, so you can shift it side to side, can shift a little bit back and forth as well. But I'm really psyched with how this turned out. It looks really good in my opinion. I weighed this guy, so the Tillett seat together with these mounts that for my length and my size and in the 964 I can mount directly onto the base without any sliders. It weighs 7.5 kilos compared to the old seats that I had. Recaro pole positions, really great seats. I love them, they're super comfortable. Those seats together with the aluminum side mounts and sliders is 11.3 kilos. Meaning the difference per side is 3.8 kilos, 2 of those 8 kilos. We started this episode having found 298 kilos total in aggregate on all episodes. And now we're up to 306. Not bad. This guy is going to meet the target of 964. And we're done for today. I'm not done for today because I'm going to sit in my car and pretend to drive for a while now that I have the thing aligned up and I can figure out all these things and how they actually will work. So, thank you for watching today. If you haven't subscribed, you've missed something and you need to do that. I'll see you next time.